Welcome back to Riff Ram Review right here on 88.7 KTCU The Choice. I'm Zion Trammell here with Ian Napetian and Seth Dowdle. This is episode number 1. Thank you all for tuning in. We've talked about TCU football and the excitement about that. We've talked about TCU soccer and volleyball, and we've talked about NCAA week number 1. But now we're going to get into the pros. We're going to be talking about Major League Baseball with the postseason right around the corner. And we're going to be talking a little bit about the Texas Rangers because that team has had its ups and downs in the month of August. They went on an 8-game winning streak and an 8-game losing streak in the same month. It's unbelievable. They're currently in a game 3 with the Mets right now. They're down 3-2, I believe, in the bottom of the 6th.
Yep.
But we're going to be talking about the Texas Rangers for a little bit. Seth, why don't you start us off? What are your, let's talk about the Rangers a little bit. What are your thoughts?
Well, in the immediacy, down 3-2, and then Seattle and Houston both won today. So a loss would put Texas solely in second place with Seattle and Houston tied at the top, but a win obviously would maintain that 3-way tie for the AL West. That's the big story right now. These last 30 games are going to be crazy. A 3-way tie coming into today in the American League West. Seattle, Houston, and Texas, Los Angeles, and Oakland are way in the back of the classroom.
Hey, man, watch it.
Okay, first of all, can we talk about what the Angels did first before we get into the Rangers? And before I forget, the Angels yesterday sent Lucas Giolito, Matt Moore, Reynaldo Lopez, Randall Grichuk, and Hunter Renfroe to waivers. For a salary.
$7 to $8 million, if my math is correct, is how much money that the Angels are going to be saving
for Shohei
for getting. Well, no, they're not. Why would no? Just to save money. Just to get rid of some cash.
To me, that just I don't think I don't know if I've ever seen that before.
Well, we've certainly never seen the waiver system used that way. And it is just a pure salary dump. But I would not be surprised if the Players Union files a grievance on the Angels here about this, just because this is kind of, this is not, doesn't feel like best practice to me.
Yeah, it's like when you're in last place in fantasy and you just decide I'm just going to drop everyone because my season's over.
It's a little rage quit.
Yeah, it is a rage quit. And to me, that's just annoying because teams with the highest waiver claim are going to be able to get. Now, Lucas Giolito struggled with the Angels, but Matt Moore is a quality bullpen arm. And now, if the Texas Rangers get him, I don't know what the waiver order is, but if the Rangers somehow get Matt Moore, I'm going to be like, thank you, LA. Appreciate it.
Well, the waiver order is winning
record,
percentage from last to best. So Oakland would have first dibs on anyone. And in theory, the A's could claim all of those people right now. And there would be nothing else anyone could do about it.
Well, so when you... Okay, that makes... Yeah.
I mean, I'm praying that we don't, because it would literally mean nothing to us.
No
it would literally mean nothing.
Yeah.
It would be us actually taking it away from the teams that want it. I mean, that's the only thing that, the only reason why you would probably do it.
The teams that are most likely to probably pick up these guys are in the wild card race at this point, and most of those teams are in the National League. So that you're talking about the Diamondbacks, the Marlins, the Phillies, the
Giants,
the D-backs, all those, the Cubs, the Reds, all those kinds of teams, and then it's going to be a long shot for even the top of the crop of the AL West and the top of the crop of the American League to even get any of these guys, just because that race isn't as jumbled as much and the records are a little bit more spread out.
Yeah, I'm okay with the Mariners. If the Mariners and Astros don't land any of these guys, okay, well, that's fine. But I mean, the Rangers could really use Matt Moore, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, and I mean, for me, again, for everyone listening, I'm an A's fan. I'm not a Rangers fan. I pay attention to the AL West, obviously, because we're in the AL West. But, I mean, for me, kind of looking at the Rangers from a different fan's perspective, I mean, you start off super hot. I think, first of all, the offense has been really solid all season. Obviously, a couple hiccups as of late over the last month, maybe month and a half. But I think, then you look at their pitching. Their pitching was great, and I think Bruce Bochy had a lot to do with that, obviously, especially hearing from you guys saying that, the bullpen was really tight, and they did a good job, early on in the season. But now it's just kind of things are slowly falling apart. But one thing I did want to talk about, though, just from that Angels trade, was Matt Moore. I didn't realize how good of a season Matt Moore was having until Zion told me this yesterday.
Well, have you seen his numbers from last year?
Oh, yeah, exactly. Well, and that's the thing. I didn't. To me, Matt Moore has been irrelevant for the longest time, but that's just me. But then I looked at his stats, and last year, 5-2, 1.95 ERA in 63 games.
Yeah, with the Rangers.
Yeah, with the Rangers, right? And gosh, he was great. Had 74 innings pitched, 83 strikeouts. So he obviously came into some, tough situation, but he got the job done. And then this year he's 3-1 with a 2.3 ERA. Played 40 games, and for some reason I feel like I've completely dissed Matt Moore, and he's still good. I got to be honest. Until yesterday, I didn't realize how good Matt Moore was still doing.
Yeah, he switched to a bullpen role. Obviously, he came up as a starting pitcher, and he's kind of adjusted to that.
Back with the bullpen for the Rangers, Ian, that has been like the roller coaster of the season. And the pitching as a whole has kind of been a roller coaster, but there have been spurts where this bullpen, especially during early August, where the bullpen has looked magnificent and there's nothing you could do. Everything is clicking. And then this last 2 weeks, the stat that really defines the Texas Rangers season, and particularly the last couple of seasons, is 25 converted saves and 25 blown saves.
Yeah,
that's just not a winning formula, obviously. And a lot of those saves, especially the last couple blown saves, have come in the same game. Like the team has given the bullpen multiple opportunities to shut it down in a tight situation, and they've continued to fall short. Now, last couple of games, last two in particular, bullpen has come up really clutch, including this game that's happening right now. Martin Perez, currently in for the Rangers, has thrown 2 scoreless innings so far out of the pen after Dane Dunning gave up 3 runs in his start. So it's just been it's been up and down, up and down, up and down, and just you would really wish that consistency would be there, but it just hasn't.
Yeah, and the lack of converting with runners in scoring position, they were so good at that in the beginning of the season. That's what made them so good. And lately it's kind of sputtered a little bit, and it's more so like the bottom of the order. Like, the top of the order, Marcus Semien, it's a shocker when he doesn't get on base. And Corey Seager has been literally seeing beach balls at the plate all season long. Dude's hitting like 350. He's the best hitting shortstop in baseball. He's one of the best hitters in baseball. So like him, and then Nathaniel Lowe has been pretty good this year. But I think really like when Josh Young went out on the injured list, like that has had a way bigger impact than I think some people realize. Like I understand most people recognize how good Josh Young has been this season, but he was kind of the security blanket behind Adolis Garcia, where, Adolis, he's a power hitter. He's going to give you some, big-time hits, but he's also going to strike out a lot. And Josh Young, he does strike out a little bit too, but he was kind of that security blanket, if that makes sense. And then Leody Taveras has kind of struggled a little bit. He was kind of that guy, like, in the beginning of the year. 1 through 8 might be struggling, but Leody's going to find a way on base. And that really hasn't been happening as much. But this team it's a good team. Like, this team isn't bad. It's just, trying to figure out what's going wrong, and the bullpen has certainly struggled. And Will Smith, I think, last night he pitched well, but, their hitters are kind of figuring out his stuff a little bit. He doesn't have like crazy stuff. He's got a fastball and a slider. But it works because he locates well and he's a smart pitcher. But, it's kind of been a little streaky recently, but. Yeah.
In the glass half full approach to the Texas Rangers 2023 season, is we've been kind of looking at like the problems, what's ugly about the Rangers right now. The glass half full approach, and this is kind of how I try to approach everything with this team in particular, especially with everyone in Zion. I think you would agree that the Rangers window, while it was opening this year, we certainly were not jumping through that window to take the Commissioner's Trophy and win the World Series in terms of that was the expectation. This was kind of a step forward year. At the beginning of the year, we were looking forward to what this new revamped starting rotation was going to look like and what year 2 of Simeon and Seager and then what year 1 of Young and what all this was going to gel together. If you would have told me at the beginning of the season that the Rangers would sit in a tie for first with the Mariners and the Astros with 30 games left, Zion, would you have just taken that?
No, I mean, I would not have seen that coming. I made in the beginning of the season, my prediction was like 80 to 85 wins. Like, I would be more than happy with that, fighting for a wild card spot. So they've certainly surpassed expectations. It's more of like, now that you're in first place for most of the season, now the bar's been set and, you have to meet that. And I think for me personally, and I think a lot of Rangers fans, younger Rangers fans can agree, and, it's been 7 years. 2016 was the last time this team made the playoffs. Like, I was a sophomore in high school, and the last time the Rangers were and you guys were, even younger, and now I'm a senior in college, and we have a shot at the postseason. And the last 2 trips we've had to the playoffs have not gone well. It's been very heartbreaking. And then obviously, like 2010, they lost to the Giants in the World Series. In 2011, they refused to talk about. But like, I just want to see this. I just want to see this team in the postseason, and I think fans are going to be a little more like anxious to see that happen.
Yeah, and again, kind of like just what you said there. I mean, coming into this season, you would have taken what that record shows right now if someone told you, hey, this is where the Rangers
Not
would
even
be.
like if you told me the position. Just told me the 75 and 57.
Yeah.
I snatched that up in a heartbeat. You could be in third place and in the mix of the wild card. That I take that.
No, exactly. And right, I mean, you look at if you look at last season, right, 68 and 94, 38 games are back.
Yeah.
Of first place in the AL West.
60 and 102.
And the improvements there have when you looked at that 15 and 35 on one-run games last year, that was bound to improve, and it has. It has improved. But the problems in terms of converting like close games into wins is still a problem. But again, last year's team wasn't as bad as the record, and this year's team probably is over-exceeding a little bit of the expectations in terms of especially with the bottom of the order and the bullpen when it's at its peak. But the bottom of the order, especially really young guys, Ezekiel Duran, Leody Taveras, Josh Young, and then guys like having weird breakout seasons like Travis Jankowski. It's just like a hodgepodge of those guys that have like all like clicked at the right time, and it's been beautiful to watch. It's great, but sometimes especially younger players, especially later in the season, they're kind of gonna get in that little funk, and unfortunately, everyone got into a little funk at the exact same time. That's what that 8-game losing streak was just everyone was in a funk.
Yep.
But you can kind of expect, hopefully with some veteran leadership that Corey Seager and Marcus Semien provide, that the Rangers are going to take this postseason battle head on. And especially, you mentioned the Bruce Bochy effect. This is a manager that has the experience to win a World Series.
Yeah, exactly. And again, kind of just going back to that idea of the Rangers' record this season, right? I mean, you start the season so hot and you continue that, and Zion, you said it, right? It's like you'd still take the 75 and 57, but at the same time, you're partway through the season, you then curb your expectations once again and say, all right, this is where we are. This is where we need to be then at the end of the season if this is how things are going, right? But I think that's what's so tough about being a fan is that sometimes it's not that you get greedy, but you want to see your team just doing as well as possible, and you get to that point where your team is firing on all cylinders left and right. Guys at the plate are just seeing the ball well. The guys are locating on the mound and just, pitching really well for both starters and bullpen. But then you kind of hit that brick wall, and as a fan, part of you wants to be frustrated. You want to be like, what's going on here? But at the same time, you then have to realize, look, this is a huge step forward from last season. And to think that it's even with a lot of the same guys, right? And I think when you look at the Rangers between 2022 and 2023, you saw the extreme of both. You saw the extremely poor results, but now you're kind of seeing the extremely overwhelmingly exciting results. And what you need to then find, hopefully this comes next season, is that consistency throughout the season, right? And I think that's the biggest thing, especially when it comes to World Series, is you need to be consistent. You can't afford to have drop-offs at the plate, or if you do, you need to have those guys that are consistent hitters to always be in your lineup to pick up the team when they need it.
Yeah, and the hope of like winning in the postseason for the Rangers is not lost. I just want to make this very clear. The Rangers are still very much in the hunt here, even if they do lose tonight and fall into second place, a game back, still very much in position to make the postseason, even if it's the wild card team. But you're right, Zion and Ian, about how the route that the Rangers have taken to get to 75 and 57 kind of, makes a Rangers fan feel like, hey, whenever that 8-game winning streak was happening, for instance, in August, that this team can never lose again. This is the greatest team in the American League. But then that 8-game losing streak happens, and we kind of get back to the median, and your expectations have changed from this is what we want to wait. I thought we were going to win the World Series. What just happened?
Yeah, and I still have, I think I still have a lot of confidence that this team can make the play. I love this team. It's been so much fun to watch this season. And another thing too, just really quickly, is the Jacob deGrom injury. I think, and just injuries as a whole, has really taken a toll. Like you had Nathan Eovaldi, who's still hurt. Jonah Heim, who's
still hurt. He's still hurt.
Yeah, I mean he's great defensively. He's one of the best defensive catchers. Josh Young, Corey Seager. A bunch of guys have taken stints on the IL, and Jacob deGrom is a pretty significant. Like people are like, oh, they'll be fine. Like they got John Gray, and like John Gray has been good this season, but it's like, okay, well, we did just lose like one of the best pitchers in baseball. Like that's not something to just be like, yeah, it's okay. Like that was a pretty significant injury, and I think we all expected him to be hurt at some point, but that really was a big blow. And but at full strength, the rotation, I feel very good about Scherzer, Eovaldi, and Montgomery in a playoff series. Like that's solid.
Yeah, and I mean, even just, and this is kind of all the baseball aside of the performance aside. I mean, just looking at the Rangers, for the rest of the season, they have 29 more games left in the season. 16 of those are going to be against AL West opponents.
Yep.
All in front of them.
You control your own destiny.
You control your own destiny, and obviously, right, you look at the series against the A's, you look at the series against the Angels. Those are no doubters, hopefully, right? I mean, if you're the Rangers fan.
Those are games that the Rangers, going into them, their series, like, hey, we got to take at least 2 out of 3 here. And against the A's.
And against the A's, you think sweep.
You
have to. You have to think sweep against the A's, 2 out of 3 against the Angels. You guys play the Astros in, I think it's next week, but then you play a 3-game series against the Mariners pretty soon, and then to round out the season, you play 4 games against the Mariners. So, to me, no matter what, if you guys get into the playoffs, hold on. When you guys get into the playoffs, if you guys end that 4-game stint with the Mariners winning that series, I mean, that just might be all of the adrenaline that you need to make a nice run in the playoffs. And it only takes that series for this Rangers team to just catch fire and just go off. So, but yeah, no, I mean, I think the Rangers have they've had their few bumps in the road, but I mean, again, look, just like you guys said, it's in their destiny. It's in their own hands. They just have to perform. But that's been our Rangers talk and kind of AL West talk there as well. It's been an exciting season, and I mean it's slowly coming to an end. But hopefully for Rangers baseball, it's just going to be starting up as playoffs are coming pretty soon. But we'll be right back here on 88.7 FM KTCU The Choice after this couple-minute break. But you're listening to Riff Ram Review here on 88.7 The Choice.